The Gambling Files podcast presents Desert Island Discs with your host, Jon Bruford. Hello and welcome to The Gambling Files presents Desert Island Discs, the only place in the gambling industry where you can find out the dessert preferences of top executives. I'm your host, Jon Bruford, and I'm joined by a man that I can only describe as Gavin Isaacs. It's Gavin Isaacs. Hello, Gavin.
Hello, Jon. Hello, everybody.
Thank you very much for joining us and sharing your deepest personal things.
Yeah.
I was thinking, just before I hit record, I was thinking there's only one way this could be improved, really, because, got Gavin Isaacs, as I've referred to before as the Bono of the gambling industry. It could only be improved if you had a fez on.
Abra Cadabra.
This must be what it's like. This must have been what it was like for the early Christians at the first Easter. They'd just be like, "Oh my God, I've seen him twice."
We have Thanksgiving coming up, so it's one of my props. No, it's a long story, but we got these. We were helping out the Shriners, and we weren't real Shriners, and someone as a joke bought them, and I don't think the Shriners were too appreciative.
What's a Shriner?
Oh, the Shriners is a charity set up. I don't know, maybe 60 or 70 years ago, where children who are sick are tended to. There's hospitals all around America, and the children's parents never have to pay anything. They're completely looked after by donations, etc. So it's a great organisation. But the Shriners wear Happy Days fezzes, right? And so we were having a meeting, and someone brought them along, but it's a long story. No, it's a great organisation.
Every time I talk to you, at some point, I'm always going,
What is he doing? Yeah. What is he saying?
So listen, Gavin, you're here to share with us what you would have with you on a tropical island if you were stranded alone. You can choose 3 albums, 3 books, 3 movies, 1 song, not on the albums, 1 pet from any time in your life, 1 object, 1 dessert, and 2 pieces of advice. 1 from your older to your younger self, 1 from your younger to your older self. So let's kick off, because I know you're a busy gambling industry executive type. 3 albums, Gavin.
Well, first of all, John, I've listened to some of the geniuses and some fantastic previous podcasts on this topic, and I thought it was unfair where people would put compilation albums together and do that, because if I was going to do that, I'd just say my Spotify, my best of 2018. But I decided, no, let's be really cerebral about this, and let's think about what albums over the years have meant so much to me that I want to keep playing and playing and playing. And the first one that came up, believe it or not, was Tommy by The Who.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. I used to love that album. I think the whole fact that it's like almost an opera.
It's not almost.
I can listen to it endlessly. The overture, and I'm a huge fan. And I figured that would be the album I pick.
You're not going to believe this, right? But I've put out, I think, 4 or 5 episodes of this so far. Yeah. And I've taken a little hiatus because we're sorting some stuff out on the website, right?
Yeah.
I've got.
You've been on a desert island. Yeah, go on.
I think I've got 6 waiting to go. One of the 6 that's waiting to go has also chosen Tommy.
Wow. Phenomenal. Great taste. So the next one, I had to choose between 2 Beatles albums, right? The White Album and Abbey Road. For me personally, that was. And I ultimately chose Abbey Road.
Why pick Abbey Road particularly?
Well, I just think because it's more of it's an album. The White Album seems to me to be a bunch of thoughts put together, whereas I think back in the 60s, 70s, even 80s, when people were making albums, they wouldn't just throw a hit and then surround it with other music. They would think out they're trying to tell you a story. And I just like the flow of Abbey Road. I just like the way it all flows, again, got an old record player here, listen to it from front to back, turn it over, A side B. It's a lot easier than going to Spotify and clicking. Well, it's not easier, it's harder. But going to Spotify and clicking, I like that song, I like this song, or whatever. But it was a tough one because, I'm a huge Beatles fan, and the White Album is brilliant, as is Sgt. Pepper's. There's so much, but I have to have a Beatles album, and that's the one I picked.
You made a really interesting point there, though, about albums that are a complete experience.
Yeah.
And I think the definitive one is probably Astral Weeks by Van Morrison. But
He's not on my list.
Sorry?
It's not on my list.
Well, go and do some homework.
I mean, there's a lot of very good other albums. I mean, if I could take 10, I could wax lyrical about 10 great albums. I mean, Pet Sounds by the...
but that's the challenge, right?
That's the whole point. You'll see I've left out the Rolling Stones. I love the Rolling Stones.
And albums with a theme, Pet Sounds is unreal.
Yeah.
Except the record company threw Sloop John B right in the middle. And it makes no sense. It's a great song.
Yeah.
But it makes no sense in the context of that album.
Well,
But listen, I absolutely, and this isn't related to me saying you're the Bono of the gambling industry. I've never liked U2, right?
Love U2.
However, I remember when I think I'd have been 18, and my first love, Maz, she came round to see me at home. And she put a tape in my hand and she just said, I know you won't want to listen to this, but give it a chance because I think you'll love it. And to this day, it's one of my favorite albums. And it's the last album I remember hearing that is there to be listened to as a whole. And it's Achtung Baby.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, great album.
It's an extraordinary record.
Yeah, we have this venue here called The Sphere in Vegas now. And we saw U2 there. And, I've seen U2 over the years many times. U2 War was one of my favorite albums way back. But phenomenal group. But no, they didn't make my list.
Okay. What's your third album?
Okay, so this is, again, I've got to stick true to my, I was thinking about what could I just sit there and listen to all day? And there was one compilation that came up, by the Bob Marley. And then I thought, you know what? That's a compilation of all it did. Exodus.
Purist.
And so I thought, Led Zeppelin 4.
Fucking hell.
You were expecting me to say Usher or Taylor Swift, but no, it's Led Zeppelin 4.
No, because the thing is, right, The Who have done some terrific albums. If you'd said you were a Who fan, I still wouldn't have picked Tommy as your pick.
Uh-huh.
If you'd said to me you're a big fan of the Beatles, I wouldn't have gone for Abbey Road as your pick. I would have probably gone White Album or Sgt. Pepper's.
Yeah.
And I definitely wouldn't have picked Led Zeppelin 4 for anything. And I'm not dissing the album because it's an incredible record. I
just think it's fantastic. I mean, I could listen to it for ages. But, it's one of those amazing... I spent a fair bit of time thinking about this. It's been 6 months since you asked me, I think. So it's not an easy answer. And I mean, I could give you 3 different answers as well. But I mean, I thought those 3 really would be something that I could be very satisfied with. But I'll throw a challenge to you and or your anyone, the 3 other people who listen, the dinosaur, the dog, and whoever else.
Okay.
But I went away fishing over our summer. And one of my friends said, challenged us all. He said, write down your 100 best songs of all time. And so I was sitting on the plane flying back from this trip, and I started thinking, well, how am I going to do this? Let's start with if I can get 100 bands. because I could do 100 Beatles songs. I mean, it's sort of like that.
Yeah.
And anyhow, before I could even get to the list, because it's 100, I had 140 names off the top of my head of groups where I love their songs. And I'm sure that's about a half done. Crazy. But anyhow, we have to make decisions, and they're the three they're my three. Lock it in, Judge.
But can I just ask you one thing, though? I mean,
anything.
Were they albums that you came to sort of first time around? Were they albums that were important to you as a young man, or are they albums that you've come to later?
No, I'll tell you. Well, put it this way. Unfortunately, I wasn't around when Abbey Road. I was around, but I was a baby when Abbey Road was made, so I came to that one obviously later. Tommy, I was.
That wasn't a diss.
Huh?
That wasn't a diss.
Tommy, I think my cousin, when it came out, my older cousin had the poster in his room, and I started listening to it then. So that was like way back when it came out. That was one of the first. I've got to say that for the last 30 years, I'm a huge fan of the Doors, the Zeppelin, all of them, right? But basically since university, I started listening to all of that. I used to love The Cure. There's so many great groups that I could write down their albums, like
so 17
seconds. A lot of British. I've got a lot of Australian too that I could have put down there.
I'm surprised there's no Australian bands in there.
Well, I mean, again, albums. You said albums. You were very clear.
I did.
So, that's why I was trying to be a purist, and I thought of the complete album experience.
No, I mean, they're fascinating and rock solid choices. I don't think anybody's going to look at your three albums and go, God, you're going to have a shit time on this island.
Oh, no. We had a great time.
Okay, books.
Okay, really, really hardest one of them all. And by the way, a big shout out to Walter, who had the best answer of all time for this.
And what was Walter's answer?
The Bible. I mean, seriously.
But I should have made him pick one book out of the Bible, because there's lots of books.
No, you didn't. That wasn't on the list. But I thought that was a brilliant answer, so I can't use that. So I thought about it, and I thought which books really, really mean something to me, and because I am a voracious reader, as I just showed you. I'm about to start a trilogy on the War of Independence, and I read 11 books over summer, C.S. Forrester books. So, wow. Let's start with Gates of Fire by Stephen Pressfield.
What's that? I'm not familiar with it.
It's about the story of the Battle of Thermopylae, which ultimately became a movie called The 300.
Yep, I know it.
One of my best friends gave me that, Greek guy, and he inscribed it in Greek. Leonidas was the king. When I read that book, it's all about the culture. You learn it. It's historical fiction, right? But just an incredible book. Just incredible imagery in your head as you're reading it. Great detail. I mean, the way they describe growing up as a Spartan. It's just a fantastic book. I've always thought that would be a great book to reread.
Okay.
I'm going to give you another one that's going to blow you away next.
Bring it.
The Killer Angels by Michael Shara. It's also historical fiction. It won the Pulitzer Prize, I think, in 1980 or something. And it's about the Battle of Gettysburg.
Okay.
And so you have it in the first and third person, and it's got like General Lee, and it's got all the Confederate generals. It's got all the historical real people, all the Union generals, and then to make it a little bit more interesting, I guess he's added a private and a sergeant who are on the front lines, and you get it from their perspective as well. But I read that and reread it. I thought it was just so good, and I recommend that to anyone who wants to read. If I had to pick one book, that would be it.
Amazing. Great. I think when you get an author, not just an author, a historian, and they're smart enough to weave together
A great story.
Multiple perspectives.
Yeah.
Did you ever read In the Heart of the Sea?
No.
It's a stunningly brilliant book, but the guy that wrote it's from the Whaling Museum in Nantucket.
Yeah.
And it's all about the story that inspired Moby Dick, right?
Okay, so I've just written it down. I have read Moby Dick, obviously.
But it's not just the captain's diary. He's used other sources, other written sources from other people that were in the crew. So you're seeing the scummy end of the story as well, plus his knowledge as a historian, plus the captain's diary.
No, that's the beauty of exactly why I love historical fiction so much.
Yeah.
And all three of my books are along that genre because, you got to keep rereading them. And so you get a mixture of great stories and history. But he only made a couple. He only wrote a few books. And then I think he must have passed away, but his son came up with a trilogy on World War One, a trilogy on, I think, one or two books on the Revolutionary War, about 15 books on the Civil War, 4 books on the World War. And they're just great read. You follow... If you really did them in time order, it's just a fantastic. And I have read them all, and they're just fantastic. So, big fan of that. And before I give you my last one, it was a real tough one because I found Ken Follett, his trilogies, about Knightsbridge, building the churches, and the turn of the century. I read, they're great trilogies, but I wasn't allowed to take a trilogy, so I had to leave them out. It had to be a book. So my final one, which might be a bit of topical, I guess, was Exodus by Leon Uris.
Okay. Why Exodus?
Well,
that's very proud. The last time I read a Leon Uris book, Christ.
I'm
trying to think. I read a Leon Uris book when I was young. I don't know what it was.
I read it when I was young, and I reread it a couple of months ago. I guess 6 months ago.
Okay.
It's very topical. Obviously, as a very proud Jew, it tells you the story of how the Jews got to Israel, after the pogroms, got back to Israel after the pogroms. And it also tells you this great story about, it's sort of historical fiction as well. It's fiction based on completely true events and independence and the UN and all the politics. And it was a long read, very long read, very small print. But I couldn't put that down the second time. So I thought that's a must.
Do you think reading it, so you're saying you read it a second time, Summer Just Gone, was that a very different experience?
Oh, yeah.
At a different age?
Reading it 35 years ago or 40 years ago was, I was a kid and, it didn't mean much. It means more now, and it's more relevant now, and you respect it more now. You learn more now. You ask me the last questions. But yeah, it was a great read, and I tell you, it was a guy in London when I was in London. Had dinner with him, and an American guy came over, and we were talking about what he's reading, and he said, "I'm reading this." And I said, "Wow." He said, "Unbelievable." He said, I said, "I think I read it like 35 years ago." He said, "Likewise." He said, "But reread it." He said, "It is just a great story." And it really is a great story. So they're my 3. And I got to tell you, there are thousands and thousands more. One of the only things I ever got from my grandpa, I never met my grandpa, but when my grandma moved out of her house, she gave me my grandpa's 4 editions of Winston Churchill's History of the British-Speaking People. And I would think about taking them because I've never, ever been able to get past page 80 of the first book. So I figured if I'm on a desert island forever, that would be the way to go.
Yeah, it'd be full of surprises.
It's the hardest read.
I'm like that with the movie The Hunt for Red October.
Fabulous.
I've never made it past the credits.
What at the end?
The opening credits.
You're kidding me.
No, I've tried to watch it 3 times.
Wow, that was almost one of my movies.
Whoa.
Not quite, but it's up there in the top 100.
I'm sure it's really good. I just, like I said, I tried 3 times.
I read the book first.
Maybe that's where I'm going wrong. Maybe I should sleep through the book. Right. So we've got albums, we've got books. We're on to the movies.
I mean, there's some great movies. I've got special mentions of all time. I mean, if I wanted to have a great time from a comedy perspective, I would take Blazing Saddles or The Other Guys with Will Ferrell, or Talladega Nights, or Anchorman.
I was talking about The Other Guys the other day, and
it's the best.
It's only watching it a second time I appreciate how good it is.
10 times, and you'll appreciate it more. And I've got to tell you, the fact that him and Wahlberg didn't get Academy Awards for that, crazy. Anyhow, but by the by, they're not in there, so I didn't pick them. You know, my dad was a big Westerns guy. You know, we used to watch a lot of Westerns as kids, and Humphrey Bogarts and Errol Flynn was his big one, and you name it, Gary Cooper. So I grew up with all that kind of stuff. But my 3 movies, not in any particular order. Number 1, Lawrence of Arabia. With Peter O'Toole.
First person to choose that. And what a film it is.
What an amazing film. I remember seeing that and being completely mesmerized by it. And then when my youngest brother was 18, so I was, 24, at the Valhalla, which was a cinema in Sydney, where they used to put on like things like the Rocky Horror, and they had a monthly sheet where they had all these great cult movies, whatever. They had the 80 millimeter full screen, widescreen version of Lawrence of Arabia.
Fuck.
And I took him and his girlfriend at the time, myself and mine, and we went and watched it, and he was just blown. He said, I've never seen anything like that. To me, it's a great story. It's brilliantly done. The cinematographics are incredible. You think about the period of the time. Great story. I mean, obviously, great history. And it's also very long.
It's what you might call immersive.
It really is. It's just great. So that's one. And as I said, not in any particular order, The Godfather is just the epitome of one of the greatest art pieces of all time on cinema.
But you're going for Godfather, not Godfather 2.
I know. You told me I was only allowed to pick one.
Yeah, but most people, if they were choosing the best movie of the Godfather trilogy, most people would go for number 2.
I think I'm trying to remember what it was called. And, it was about the story of making it. The Author. This 10-part series of making The Godfather. Have you seen that?
I have not.
There you see, that's incredible. You should see that. It's one of the best things I've seen on one of those 10 series shows, and it blew me away. The Godfather, to this day, I mean, I love them all, don't get me wrong, but if I had to pick one, I'd take the first.
So I haven't seen The Offer. I'm just going to put a lamp on because I just realised it's getting dark here. But I read the autobiography of Robert Evans, the producer of The Godfather.
Yeah. It's produced. Well, yes, sort of.
Head of Paramount,
that's right. Because the actual story of The Offer is about the real Al, I wish I could remember Al's surname, who was the producer.
Okay, but Evans' story is really interesting because Evans talks about, his autobiography is called The Kid Stays in the Picture, and it is a phenomenal read. But Evans talks about Coppola turning up with a 90-minute cut and Evans saying, fuck off, go bring me back an epic, and then comes back with what we know as the theatrical cut. So he came back with, thinking, oh, this is commercial, blah, blah, blah. Goes back, puts everything back in and comes out with this magnificent, sprawling... my favourite actor of all time is James Caan. Oh. And I think in The Godfather, it's his second best career performance.
Best what?
Oh, I think Misery.
Fantastic. Look, there's so many great movies with all those great actors, and you could go. As I said, you've got to pick 3 that you could just continually watch over and over again.
That's the challenge.
And then the final one, then, I have to pick a Western. I love Westerns.
I'm going to guess. Shane.
Nope.
High Noon.
Nope. Both great. Both were on the list.
Okay, you like long though. The Searchers.
No.
Oh, damn it. Okay, go on. What? Once Upon a Time in the West.
So, great movie. No. The Unforgiven.
Well.
More modern, but what a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Great cast. It's got to have Clint in it. He's in it.
It's one of those really rare movies that is full of silence as well.
It's just brilliant. Brilliant.
I remember seeing it at the cinema and just thinking, what the fuck?
Yeah. No. Whenever I see that pop up on, it's on again. I always try and see that one too. But yeah, I've got a list of 4,000 honorable mentions in the movie section.
Give us some of your honorable mentions.
Now, I love that movie. That meant a lot to me as a kid.
What was that one? Sorry.
Apocalypse Now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was just crazy.
Yeah. Did you ever see? This is a little bit out left field here, but it's worth it. Did you ever see Hearts of Darkness?
Yes.
So terrific documentary, right?
Making of it, yeah.
That Coppola's wife made, if I remember correctly.
I'm not sure.
So, are you familiar with the movie Hot Shots? Charlie Sheen film, the makers of Airplane, taking the piss out of the Rambo films and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
Okay, Hot Shots Part 2, which is not the best film ever made.
Go on.
They did a making of Hot Shots Part 2, and the making of is a pastiche of Hearts of Darkness.
Oh, wow.
So you've got Charlie Sheen in this pastiche documentary of the movie that made his dad a megastar. And it's phenomenal. It's honestly...
Okay.
It's unbelievably good. And you can find the whole thing on YouTube. It is so worth it.
Okay, thank you.
And they play it completely straight. It's brilliant. Sorry, I came a little bit wild.
Apocalypse Now, but anyhow. So there's so many great movies. And anything by John Wayne, I was thinking about The Longest Day because I can watch that 100 times with the great history and the Robert Mitchums. And, I was thinking about some of the Elizabeth Taylor movies. My favorite actress of all time, Audrey Hepburn. I mean, there's so many great movies that I could have added, but they're the three I picked.
Hey, nobody can criticize. These are your choices.
And they're just at the moment too, because I may see a movie tomorrow that I think, wow, let's knock that one out and take that one with me. Unlikely, but you never know.
No, I hear you. I would have a nightmare doing this. Just let me take the whole store. So one song that is not on the albums.
Yep. Wow. Was this tough? Okay, so I'll give you my final three. And I'll pick the one. Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys. It's just incredible. It's just an incredible song. I could listen to that a million times. LA Woman by the Doors. All these songs mean a lot to me. They're just incredible songs. And I went with Gimme Shelter.
Another phenomenal intro. Another phenomenal intro.
Just, I thought, what song every time it comes on? Yeah, that's just so good.
It was Gimme Shelter where they gave the backing singer a credit, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's always these documentaries about what's called 30 Feet from the...
Yeah, won the best documentary Oscar, 30 Feet from Stardom.
I heard the other day she passed away, which is why it came into my mind. She was an actress and everything, but the words, after you listen to it 4,550 times before computers, whether you could get the words, I thought it was like, but
that's just how I sing it.
Just a great anti-war song, just fantastic, just awesome song, and love it to pieces.
Out of the three, what are you going to go for?
I told you, Gimme Shelter.
You are. That's your number one pick.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, again, nobody's going to argue with that. Given that you're a live music fan, did you ever see the Stones live?
Many times.
This is my surprised face. Okay, we're on to pet. Any point in your life, any pet.
So I have to admit, we're not. My family were never animal people, and we've never had a pet. My wife and I, except for goldfish. I'm not taking goldfish, although I could. So I decided I'd take a horse.
You're allowed.
Exactly. I never really. I pat a horse. I thought pat that was close. And my uncle had some race horses, so that was sort of it. But I figured if I'm on a desert island and I've got so much time, to learn how to ride a horse would be pretty cool.
Oh, hang on. For legal reasons, we should specify this is a tropical island with deserts because of the BBC's long-running desert island discs. I don't want people to confuse it.
Well, in that case, I should. Oh, well, that'll come to my dessert. But yeah, no, I'd take my goldfish then because that's the only thing I've ever had.
Okay, do we have a name for the goldfish?
I had two. One was called sushi, one was called sashimi.
Fucking hell. Of course they were.
Yeah.
And you know.
But yeah, when my daughter was little and would go away, I'd put like the 7-day fish feeder in them and all that. I'll get whatever, come back and quickly replace them with sushi too, and sashimi too, and
it's great being a parent.
Anything for our children.
Okay, what's your object? Now, this can be practical. It can be a luxury.
Yeah. This was, you know, I mean, this was a good one. And I decided, going back to what I just said about riding a horse, I thought I always wanted to play the guitar, I never did. So if I took a guitar and tried to learn how to play it, a piano would be too big. I figured on a desert island. Well, then I'd take the piano because I'd love to be able to, I think, I was listening to this great talkback show the other day, and you know, they still exist outside of podcasts. And you know, there's and I can't remember the name of the song or the person, but the number one country and Western song in America at the moment is 100% AI. And so there's an uproar. You know, they've got this guy with a real worst voice, you know, doing a song that it's just number one, right? It's tops the charts. And it's AI, and people say, oh, you can't use AI. And this guy came on and said, well, technology's always been at the forefront of musical innovation. He goes, think about the person who put tin on the end of the sticks, made the first xylophone. And then, you know, if someone didn't make that, or the piano, its derivative, which would have been evolutionary at the time, or revolutionary at the time, there'd have been no Mozart, no Beethoven, no anything. And I thought about that, and so I thought, yeah, that's really cool. Good way of thinking about it. But yeah, I've got a lot of time on my desert island in the Caribbean. And I figured that a piano would be something I could spend a lot of time with and learn.
Yeah, I think it's a good shout. And as it's your island and you can do whatever you like, we could throw in there that it will never need tuning or anything. That's our gift to you.
Thank you. That's so nice. But I thought something like that would be more than an object because, you know, there's so many objects that we have, but it would be a useful object and it would help pass the time, and you never know.
No, I think it's lovely. Like if I were doing this, one of my albums would be like a modern classical album, and it sounds like it's going to be a cheat, but it's because it's 8.5 hours long. It's a concept album, and it's based around sleep cycles, called Sleep by Max Richter. And it has the most beautiful piano on it I've ever heard in my life. And as soon as that first note sounds, I think people know whether they're going to love it or hate it. Like, my ex hates it. She's like, heard it. As soon as the first note, I just thought, oh, it's going to be depressing. I heard that first note and I fell in love with that record. No exaggeration. It was love at first.
I love that. So, Tubular Bells was an album that was two sides of the same song by, I think it was Mike Oldfield or something, I can't remember.
Yeah, Mike Oldfield.
When I was way back when I was a kid, I used to listen to that to go to sleep. But that was
it's weird, right? So you got Led Zeppelin on here. Robert Plant lives not far down the road from where I'm sitting. And I see him in Ludlow all the time where I'm from. He's just mooching around or sitting on some steps or whatever, and nobody bothers him because he does look like he's about to ask you for change. And I'm just by a place called Hergest Ridge, which is the name of Mike Oldfield's follow-up album. Because with his money from Tubular Bells, he bought this kind of semi-stately home just down the road, and he named his follow-up album after it.
Oh, that's cool.
It's crazy because cool. I live in the arse end of nowhere.
Wow.
So we've got a piano.
Okay.
Now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. What's your dessert?
Oh, it's easy. My wife's pavlova, which is my mother's recipe. I'm not a dessert guy. That's the only thing I eat. Donna's pavlova. Donna and Heather's pavlova.
That it's a family recipe is
it's unbelievable.
So you had other pavlovas, they just don't compare.
Everywhere we go, we went to a great restaurant the other night. We had the pavlova, and we looked at each other. Not even close. We were in where were we? We were in Italy, and then was it Italy or Portugal or I can't remember. I think it was Portugal. And in Porto, we were walking down, and there's these two shops next to each other. And they're like cake shops, but they only do pavlova. And we went in there and we looked at Donna and said, do you want to put them out of business? Open a stall out the front. It's that good.
That's confidence.
Yeah, that was the easiest one to answer.
That's amazing. Like, everybody says like, oh, I make a great lemon drizzle cake. And I always say my mum's lemon drizzle cake was better. There's no two ways about it. People are like, oh yeah, I bet. And then they would try my mum's lemon drizzle cake, and the expression on their face would always be exactly the same. There'd just be a, yeah, and then they just go, yes, it is. It is better. Just accept it. I wasn't saying it for effect or because it's my mum. Although that does go in there as well.
It does help.
Now we're all the way down to. Now, Walter was the first person to have to do 2 pieces of advice. And I sort of sprung it on him, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But we got 2 pieces of advice. One from your older self to your younger self, and one from your younger self to your older self. You choose where you start, but you also get to choose at what point you receive the advice.
Ooh. Okay. Well, I think the advice that I'm going to give my older self to my younger self would be coming the day I graduate high school, right? And it would have been to take health and fitness more seriously. Look after your body, get into it. I was more going to bands, drinking, smoking cigarettes, doing all of that. I wish I had actually really got into health and fitness back then because I think it's just such a great basis. I mean, I love going to the gym now, and I like being fit and healthy. In fact, I'm lighter now than I was when I got married 32 years ago. I think it's really important you look after yourself. And the other part of that came through to me was that as I'm entering the final trimester, perhaps, or well within it, who knows? It's a precious thing that you've got to look after, and if you look after it early, I'm pretty sure it will look after you in the long run. So that would be my very simple advice from my older self to my younger self.
That also has a lovely knock on, which is like, so I was the same as you. I didn't start, I'd always used the gym. I always lifted weights and stuff. But I didn't get into cardio until I was 30 and I quit smoking.
Yeah.
And I wish I had appreciated the mental benefits that come with it. Just the very basic mental health shit that just comes from doing something that is repetitious, something that is difficult, something that is solely focused on yourself.
Yep. I was super fit when I left school, and I let it all fall.
Youth is wasted on the young.
Which is the point of your question. of the question. And, the other thing, you can always regret. I mean, there were so many thoughts that came through my mind. I lost my dad early. Wish I spent more time with him. Things like that. But I think the one piece of advice was, bang, look after yourself. Better.
No, it's
and that doesn't be either. I mean, that doesn't. I think people go overboard with some of these things. That's not what I mean. Just be in tune, man. Okay, younger self to the older self. That was a hard one.
This is difficult. You're not here for the easy questions.
This is the hardest of them all. The younger one to the older one. And can I give that, this is sort of cheating, but can I give that advice when I'm 18? No.
Well, not really. We make the rules.
Yeah, I know. Well, if I did, I would have taken up golf then rather than 20 years ago. What a wonderful sport. What a great way to spend some pastime. And I wish I learned it as a kid. But no, I think the way I was coming along was about, I think I've been very blessed in my life. I've had ups and downs, obviously, like everyone. And I think out of hardship, I think there's a reason for hardship sometimes. And I think it would just be to, I'm going the other way around. From your younger self to your older self, it's a really tough one.
That's why it comes last.
Yeah, because I sort of thought younger self to your older self is, go back when you're leaving high school and get healthier, but that could be the other way around as well.
I think the key to this for me is that there are things that we just forget as we go along. We forget about the importance of some things. And I have a friend who, her voice is in my head when I'm about to do something really fucking stupid.
That's great.
And I said this to her. I was on the phone with her and I said, do you know your actual voice is in my head? And it says, are you sure? And she said, that's the weirdest thing, because your voice is in my head when I'm about to not do something really stupid, when I'm about to not take a risk. And my voice apparently in her head says, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably going to summarize what I was going to say, which was that, I've had a lot of, taken a lot of risks, and I've gone with my head and my heart. And touch wood, most of them have been okay. So the advice would have been, just trust your heart, trust your head. Probably do a little bit more homework on some of the things that you chose before you do them. But yeah, you have one life, go for it.
It's very fair.
Live it to the fullest.
Well, if you don't, you're only cheating yourself, aren't you?
Oh, 100%.
So listen, I said about the other person that chose Tommy.
Yeah.
When I put the Tom Neiman episode out, Tom tells stories about attending the premiere and meeting Tina Turner.
Okay.
Tom's like, he just starts.
And it's just coincidental that my son's name's Thomas, but that's by the by. But yeah, it's
and he just happens to be very.
I urge those people who've never done it to play from the beginning. It's a whole story, and just sit back and relax and listen to it. It's fantastic.
It is. They don't make albums like that anymore.
Oh.
Nobody does, not really.
And of course, being in the business I was in the land-based slide, we have Bally, Williams, Stern, and Gottlieb. Bally is obviously, I have a Bally machine sitting right over here. Michael Gottlieb worked with us at Bally. We bought Williams when we were at Sci Games. You know, I mean, there's so much that album that great.
Another reason why you have to listen to the Tom Neiman episode.
I will.
Is because, of course, Tom was the first person to introduce licensed product to pinball, and it was a Tommy table.
Yeah, I remember.
That's why he's in the Pinball Hall of Fame.
You bet he is. John.
Gavin.
I have to go to the gym.
No worries. That's I've heard that's a good thing to do. Thank you very much.
Great talking to you as always. Thank you.